This machine kills fascists.
Yeah. Well, welcome back to Slim and Lefty in the Morning.
It's official. We're hired.
Tell your moms to call our hogs, you lazy sons of bitches. We've been gone for a minute now.
God damn it.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back, baby.
Yeah.
With our slogging hogs.
What up, Kings?
So, the joke of January for us was hogs.
Yeah.
Big joke.
It's a big joke.
Big giggle gag.
It's a big hog.
Yeah, our gags were giggling.
We said last night that we're going to refer to this from now on as the Hogcast.
That's right. This is the Hogcast for your mom cast with Slim and Lefty. In the morning. Whoa.
It is almost the morning. It's 11:40.
Yeah. It's a wiener joke.
It's Anton Chekhov's birthday today.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Massive hog on that guy.
Dude, absolutely.
Slinging hog.
Holy shit.
So I saw improv Shakespeare with my mom.
Oh, that's right.
On Sunday.
Oh, that's right.
Really great. These guys are great improv artists, but also clearly like experienced repertory Shakespeare guys who just know the material.
Trained nerds.
A friend of ours, Jordan Matthews, shout out,
to Jordan.
who studied improv in Chicago, said they're notoriously douchey to the rest of the improv world because well, I guess
because they're like, I do this.
They're
in
like,
fuck
you. Yeah, I know Shakespeare, bitch. Like, keep up, motherfucker. Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
I can rhyme. Can you rhyme? And
yeah,
it was amazing, beautiful language. But you and me joked about doing our own rendition, which would be improvised Chekhov, and it was like along the lines of like. The weather's making my knees swollen, doctor. Will you check it after we have our afternoon drinks?
Right, and
kind
like
of
a real light graze of the knee sends everyone into tizzy.
Yeah. And then there's like there's eye contact that makes the audience just like fucking lose it.
Oh my God.
We could do that. That could be our future. So you guys might be listening right now and being years from now and going, wow, these guys created the infamous, notorious improvised Chekhov that's now touring the world and the possibly the solar system, you know? I don't know what Elon Musk is going to pull off, but I don't expect much.
But we're all rooting for him.
I could be wrong, though.
I think I'm wrong.
But who knows? I could be very wrong. But
do we want to take any shots at any other public figures before we get going?
There's plenty of public figures to take shots at right now.
I know.
But this isn't a political podcast.
No, our political podcast.
There's been a lot going on in the Democratic primaries, as well as the impeachment of the current president of the United States.
Of course.
Of which I don't have much to really say.
Yeah, no new thoughts
relative to all the cool content we've been distracting ourselves with.
Holy shit.
Like the rest of America.
It's hardly been a dry January here at the Hot Little Takes podcast.
That's true. I mean, and aside from all of the horrible things going on in the world, we're talking about the movies and TV shows that we've been catching up on.
Mike is full morning show voice right now.
I'm having a blast. I was excited to come in and record tonight.
Yeah, we're fucking lit.
I'm ready for it.
Your energy is getting on me.
Good. This is the kind of energy I'm trying to bring into 2020. It's like get shit done. I've been busy. I've been a busy man. I've been
a busy boy.
I've been a busy little boy, like a little bee, and I'm bringing my honey back to the queen now. You know what I'm saying?
The birds are coming home to roost.
I'm ready to lay some eggs. You know what I mean?
Lay some eggs.
I'm gonna make some nice hexagonal shapes
with my hog,
with my fat bee hog. But we're glad you guys are back with us too, because we've got new listeners. We have listeners that have clearly left. I don't know about that. I haven't looked at the
our retention numbers are.
I don't know. I haven't looked at our numbers, but I know there's a French guy who told me.
Yeah, we have a French listener now.
Bonjour, mi amigo.
Yeah. Chateauneuf de Pape.
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about.
Sure. Where do we want to start? Because we've seen a lot of movies. Mike finally caught up on a lot of the Oscar movies.
Yeah.
I had my second run at a lot of Oscar movies these last couple weeks.
That's right.
But we're gonna save that for next week when we
Christian
do the Oscars.
really refined his perspective so that he won't waste your time and will cut straight to the most objective.
Yeah. We're coming in hard on the Oscars next week because they fucked up.
Well, yeah, it's a joke.
It's a joke.
It's a joke.
The Oscars are a joke.
I feel bad that I've kind of broken your faith and spirit in it a little bit.
They break my spirit in it. The Oscars themselves break my spirit in the Oscars.
My spirit was broken long ago. But
it's funny to think of you being like a 12-year-old who like loved the Oscars.
And I hate to shit on it.
And you're like, Shakespeare in love?
But it was when I was in high school, and me and all my like weird stoner comedy friends were mad about The Pianist losing to Chicago.
Sure, that was the one that pissed
That
you
was
off.
the one that like we were like, the Oscars are bullshit, man.
Yeah. I rewatched the Master last night, this is 2013 Oscars, but that movie The Master was not nominated for picture, director, screenplay, or cinematography, which is one of the most egregious snubs I can possibly imagine. Joaquin and Philip Seymour Hoffman both also did not win for their respective
I still haven't seen it. But since I'm so behind the times, I watched I, Tonya for the first time.
I, Tanya's a good movie.
Like 3 days ago.
All about
I think Allison Janney did a great job. You didn't dig the performance, but I thought she was pretty terrifying.
Well, that's just another one where I thought that Laurie Metcalf gave a much better supporting.
And I did not. I still haven't seen Lady Bird. I
Lady
apologize to Greta Gerwig and her assistant Noah Baumbach.
We watched the directors roundtable from the Golden Globes.
That was some shade thrown all over the place.
If anyone wants to see so much shade thrown at Todd Phillips.
Oh yeah, Martin Scorsese's like, I haven't seen your movie. I'm not gonna see your movie, and I'm not flattered that you just based it off of my fucking movies.
Yeah,
and put a fucking
I do not
superhero
respect
clown.
you.
I don't respect the genre. I think you're a piece of shit, and you smell like shit. And I want you out of my face. And then and then you get some nice little insight from the gentleman who made City of God, who's a real.
Oh, that guy's great.
Yeah,
he's amazing.
Sweetheart from Brazil.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen City of God, it's probably the best movie we've ever mentioned on this podcast.
I don't know if that's quite true.
Maybe the best movie I've ever mentioned.
We've talked about a lot of movies. Do you want to? So we're gonna save a lot of the movies that we talked about there that we saw that are Oscar movies, but we did want to talk about
movies that we didn't see but wanted to.
But we have
in one way or another.
We have one we really want to talk about, and that's Uncut Gems.
That was kind of our favorite of the season, I feel like.
Oh my god. I saw this twice and I got to be there with you on the second viewing. I mean, and this has been said over and over again that it's like one of the most high anxiety, like driving pulse movies of the year.
I feel like I was riding with it though. And maybe it's because I'm an anxious person.
Are you?
I think internally, yes. I'm very anxious.
Aren't we all?
I think I like play it super, super cool to hide how much I'm like just dealing with processing everything at the same time. And
so not like Howard.
But also being like a compulsive like it's so easy to like eat the cupcake that's right in front of you. Kind of like
oh wow. Okay.
He's like it's like any addiction, like it's. And I do have an addictive personality, and I've witnessed a lot of them.
Sure.
And it's like this, just feeding the satisfaction. And this movie, to me, more than anything, and how I've described it after watching it, is a movie about the best movie ever made about gambling addiction.
Oh, absolutely.
And I know other people said it's like the Leaving Las Vegas is to alcoholism.
Oh, sure.
Or whatever.
Oh,
This is like, what Nick Cage does in that. His character, Adam Sandler's character, Howard, is doing that with his gambling, where every time he wins, he doubles down on the idea that maybe he can pay off his debts and still have something for himself, and that's how he wins. This is how I win.
So good.
And that's...
Him doubling down on the bet with KG.
And there's like a logic to it that's different from other addictions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it's not about...
Absolutely.
It's not about a chemical that he's putting into his body directly, but it's about...
It's a chemical reaction.
It's about a behavior that creates a chemical reaction. Yes. Exactly, that he's addicted to.
Yeah.
And I fucking loved it.
Sandler got screwed, right?
Yeah.
We're all team Sandler got screwed.
I just watched a good YouTube, I can't remember who it was, or I'd give him credit, but one of those nice... YouTube editorials.
Sure.
That was on how Adam Sandler really is a well-ranged actor and has done a lot of shit leading up till now that he doesn't get credit for.
Right.
And the fact that people were really marveled at him. You know, they said how this character was really kind of the more grown-up example of what he played when he was younger anyway, which is kind of a petulant man-child.
Yeah, that's true.
On just doing whatever he wants.
Of course.
But a compelling one.
Yeah, it's a far cry from the character who plays a punch-drunk love.
He has tantrums.
Yeah.
But it's still in a wheelhouse that is Sandlerian, shall we say?
We shall.
Shall we?
I shall. I shall.
Would you like to put that on the table?
Sandlerian. Whoa. I love it. I love that.
Man, he's
great in it.
He carries the thing because we've really marveled at how there's like a lot of non-actors in it.
Oh yeah.
And how this
Julia Fox and I wish I could remember the gangster guys.
All the gangster guys and half of the guys that he's like fencing stuff with and the pawn guy.
Oh, the pawn guy.
The guy's like, my boobalo, what's wrong? You know, you keep coming back to the pawn shop every 6 hours. This isn't good. What are you doing? The movie's very New York, very the jewelry district.
The Diamond District.
The Diamond District.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
a great portrait of
it's very
microcosm.
Yeah, exactly. It's like very in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And he's just one of these guys doing this, but
the specificity of the location kind of puts this claustrophobia on the whole thing because those guys can find him whenever they want to.
Sure. Well, he has to go back to his job.
Yeah.
You know?
And he's related to the guy. It's like such a suffocating presence that he's fighting against.
And that's why like the most iconic, I think, prop or space that will come out of this thing is that little in-between room when you go into the jewelry shop.
Oh, where they hold them?
Because that's meant to be a space where you protect the robberies or whatever, but there's something very like thematic. Like if we're getting into like how do we read this from we're reading an English novel and
yes.
This is in a literary way, like that room represents his kind of keeping this barrier between like the reality of what he's getting himself into and his faith and fantasy that he could still win and still beat all of this.
Yeah.
And his like kind of his deranged hero's journey that he's gonna be the guy that he's and you do root for him, you know?
Absolutely.
And that's why the end is devastating.
Oh yeah.
Because you kind of know the entire finale that like this isn't gonna end like even if he does win this money in this game, like he set himself up to like not be forgiven for that.
Yeah.
But you don't really process it when you're watching it. You're still like kind of rooting for him, and you're still if he does that, he can pay his debts, and he'll have something for himself, and he'll do what he's been trying to do the entire time. He's doubled down and doubled down.
Yeah.
And that's where that tension comes from. You know, you're watching it. It's like watching someone doing something amazing at a casino, and you're like, there's no way that they can go 5 out of 7.
Yeah, right, and you're like, there is a crash coming.
Yeah. But it keeps going, and what's
I've never been around in person for a real casino run.
No, that's like a romantic thing. Like
it has to happen out there though.
Like
I'd love to be in that room someday.
Have you seen Run Lola Run?
Yeah.
Like that's how the
right
idealized version of that ends. Is she wins all this money and she rolls some craps or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Have you seen Rounders?
Or no, it's roulette. Is it roulette? Yeah. Have I seen what?
Rounders.
Sure.
The card, it's great subject matter. You know what I mean?
That movie also depends on John Malkovich's Russian character loving Oreos as a big plot point.
Yep, yes it does. An outlandish.
That's your tell, is that you eat your Oreos differently. And John Malkovich looks at his Oreos in surprise and like hurls them against the wall. Like he never suspected that anyone would crack his code as this notorious poker player. That was my only. And
is it a complaint or is it a highlight?
No, it's actually. I think, in my opinion, makes the movie better.
Yeah. It's a really silly movie.
It's heightened reality.
Yeah, it's very of the late '90s or whatever.
Yeah, they're like, you're gonna be in a Tarantino movie.
Yeah,
you're gonna be a Russian poker guy who likes Oreos, which is a very Tarantino description of a character.
Totally. Where were we? You can tell that those guys had been refining that script for 10 years. That they were like ready to just like pounce all over the thing. You know what I mean? It has a very masterful touch in its in its pacing and the look of it. I mean, we've talked about, I think, before about just the texture of their images are different than a lot of things that you see these days. Like, it has a very...
The whole movie kind of glints like when you're looking at a shining jewel or something.
Totally.
There's a little bit of like...
Yeah, the lighting in that thing is very...
like, yeah, it's just...
numbing.
It's kind of blown out a little all the time.
Or it's so dark, like the apartment that Julia Fox lives in until she moves out is like pitch fucking black in there.
Yeah.
Which is such, I don't know. And like his the room that he's with his family in where they're all smoking cigars is like a black room and they're watching the Knicks. His son's bedroom with all of the toys on the wall and stuff where he's just like dunking a basketball.
Oh man.
That room is like completely
him and his
black.
son just like getting amped about who's gonna win and who's gonna lose, knowing this character has tens of thousands of dollars on every fucking game every day. Like, this guy's
It'd be so weird knowing your dad is making these
and he's going through this while he's going through this divorce, and like, you know, this money throwing around and this showboating and stuff is hiding like that this guy is, you know, I could see this being like a Wall Street movie if it were a little more, if it were the Anglo version. It'd be the guy like, I'm just like throwing money around left and right, and I don't know, it's crazy, and,
right? But
I'm, you know, looking like a badass or whatever.
Right. If
the Gentile version.
Yeah, what's the Joker guy's name? I forgot. If Todd Phillips made that movie.
Sure. Yeah, and he's like, it's gonna be like American Psycho.
That's a fun game to play. Is like, how would Todd Phillips ruin this?
You could do the same thing with the guys who made Game of Thrones, where you were like, we're gonna make the thing and then like make a really shitty fucking ending.
We can play that. We can play that game when we talk about the new Pope later.
Sure.
Like, how would they just steer that show off the cliff?
Oh God, that's a horrible thought.
It is a horrible. It made me sad actually thinking about that.
Right.
Luckily, we don't have that to worry about.
Yeah, Adam Sandler definitely got fucked over, but you know, I think he's gonna get more work like this, and I think that those directors are gonna do a lot of shit, and he's the kind of guy that they would just bring back anyway, because he'd be happy to work with them again.
You can tell that clearly that went well.
Yeah, and they're gonna expand their thing. I think they're maybe like the millennial Coen brothers we're seeing kind of emerging.
Sure.
Maybe.
I fuck with them.
Prediction? I don't know. Hot take? I don't know.
Hot take? I don't know.
Who knows? Maybe they'll do something horrible and it'll blow itself up.
That would like suck. There's been so many. It was a good year. I think that we talked about this maybe when we saw it. That it was a good year for people's second movies. That was like their kind of second main release.
Oh yeah, it's the sophomore albums.
Yeah, and everyone did like Ari Aster. Midsommar was so good, and The Lighthouse was so good, and Little Women was so good.
Yeah, that's a good point. You're right.
I think
I'm
forgetting a couple.
I didn't see the Safdie brothers' first movie.
Good time.
Yeah, but I really liked the balloon short.
Yeah, the Black Balloon short was awesome.
I was like, these guys are very inspired. They've got their style, and it's that kind of thing where like artists kind of hone whether they're drawing or they're acting or whatever, like they find their voice. You know, writers find their voice.
Yeah. And those guys do have a very.
They have a voice.
Yes, they do.
And they
have style. I'm always looking for someone to have style.
It's like finding an author when you're like, I like that book. I want to read another book by that guy.
Yeah.
Or those guys.
I guess we're talking about everybody. All those people, Greta Gerwig.
Sure.
You know.
That's the probably best example. I don't know if we want to get too into that when this episode.
No, we won't. We'll talk about that next time. But
of like literary to the adaptation.
Totally.
Like, you know, because I have a lot of opinions on adaptation, and that movie did a really cool thing.
A really cool adaptation. It's an adaptation, and it's
adaptation.
You know,
it doesn't, but it like owns it and does
and relishes it. It's so fucking good.
Yes.
Not to give you spoilers about how I feel.
I don't want to tell the story yet, but we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, that movie's fucking wonderful. Last thing I want to say about Uncut Gems on the acting front and talking about, I hope we see more of this person. I want to see more of my boy Kevin Garnett in movies, man.
Yeah,
he's so good at it. He's so good at it. You gotta understand what a great experience it was to watch a movie where the
Isn't he your favorite?
He's my favorite basketball player of all time. And to see him be the centerpiece of this already bitchin' movie, it was like, feels like someone wrapped a package and put it on my doorstep.
Oh, like this is made.
My god!
But, that's like an untapped maybe like demographic. You could say if you were like in the marketing department, be like, why is this movie doing good? You're like, well, there's guys who kind of dig like sports and like who dig the idea of like glamour as a downfall and hubris, and it was like watching kind of like a biblical story unfold a little bit, It
has that kind of
or a mythical thing
what
of like this guy flew too high and Icarus kind of vibe.
Yeah. Beautiful movie.
Beautiful movie. Beautiful.
What else we want to bang through before we take a break? Do you want to talk about that David Lynch short?
Oh yeah,
we can take a break after this.
Man, yes. I love when you uppercut me with weird little things. You're like, I know you watched this. That David Lynch short was fucking bonkers.
So weird. And shouts to David Lynch for dropping a short on his birthday. What a cool guy.
And I bet he like fucking did that by himself in a matter of like a season, like maybe a couple months while he's just sticking around. He's like, hey, we got a couple more scenes with a monkey. Bring him by on Saturday, and
I saw something on
Twitter.
We'll
get the singing bit. You should explain what the thing is.
I think if people don't know what it is, you're crazy. But it's a 17-minute black and white short of David Lynch as kind of a detective character interviewing a monkey that he suspects of having killed someone. And the monkey speaks with a pretty cheaply animated mouth speaking for him.
With David Lynch also playing the voice of the monkey with like a weird voice, like a weird southern accent.
It's so strange. I saw a thing on Twitter earlier that apparently that monkey is the monkey that, and I don't recall this because I'm a Seinfeld guy, but
Are you gonna say Friends right now?
Yeah. So that monkey.
There's no way it's the same monkey.
That's apparently the same monkey.
It's been 20 years.
I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know how fucking long
that's actually
live. But someone said that they were like, this kind of adds a layer to the film for me because that monkey's seen shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say like you kind of just hit me with that information on an emotional level. You're like, wow, that monkey was like a baby when they made it back then, because he does kind of look like he's a little old man. Is like the character's like, I'm a
considerably small man.
I'm a small man and I've had a long, hard life. It's like, I didn't kill that woman. And then David Lynch will be like,
"You associate?
Are you gonna furnish your coffee?"
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like nonsense half the time.
Oh my god.
And just kind of like the dream, I was saying, I imagine David Lynch woke up and he's like, I've been having a dream about being at a train station and I'm interrogating a monkey. It's very, very weird and specific. And
I would encourage everyone to seek out the picture of David Lynch and his family, which is like his wife and 4 kids, and they're all smoking cigarettes. Yeah. It's so funny.
That sounds like a beatnik.
It's like exactly what you would expect. When I heard that there was a new David Lynch short on Netflix about him interviewing a monkey that he suspects of having killed a chicken or whatever, it was almost exactly what I imagined.
I don't want to spoil the end of that.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Did Netflix do more of that stuff? They had a Paul Thomas Anderson short film come out over the summer too.
Yeah, dude.
They're doing a good job.
If there were a category that popped up that was like crazy short film experimental stuff, I would be all about just like scrolling through those. Like Modern Criterion, IFC when it was back in its day. Kind of vibe.
Yeah. And I mean, when you see guys like Paul Thomas Anderson and David Lynch doing it, you're like, I absolutely want an 8-minute thing by them. That sounds great.
Sure.
You get a little David Lynch as a treat.
Did you enjoy this David Lynch? Delicious.
Speaking of Netflix, do you have any? I guess you kind of brought up The Circle oh, and you
did you finish it?
And you tricked me into. I told you that I skipped the last 3 episodes.
Oh, that's
in the
right.
house and just fast forwarded through it like this. The spell of the circle.
I've tricked several people into getting addicted. To
And
this
kind of the spell kind of wore off on me.
That's exactly how the show works. By the end, you are like exhausted as much as everyone who participated in it, and you were like, "This is an exercise in what futility our entire social media existence and capitalist existence and like our own egos and personas and how we relate to each other. It's just a complete fucking disintegrated, deconstructed mess."
It's like
everyone's
like an play.
Everyone's like crying and clapping just because they're like, "Can we please go home now?" By the end of
How long were they there ultimately? Did they say?
I imagine decades.
Years.
I imagine like
I imagine it took years. Can you imagine if they did the circle for 5 fucking years?
10 years later, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna win $100,000, but guess what? That'll buy me a pack of cigarettes now, bitch. It's been 10 years."
That's like Dave Chappelle. That's great stuff. Oh my god. That's like the Charlie Kaufman version of The Circle, like as a movie, where they have to play it for 25 years.
It's been 25 years. Oh my god.
We shouldn't give these ideas away.
We've got ideas for days.
That's
why everyone comes here.
Deconstructed Truman Show.
That's why it comes here to the Slim and Lefty in the Morning Show for just the revelations of simulacra.
Oh my god. Oh. Well, should we take a break there? Is there anything else, any other jabs you want to get in there?
Now we should come back and finish up our little thoughts on Jeopardy GOATs.
Oh, Jeopardy GOAT. Should we maybe do that now? I mean, we were both running for Ken Jennings.
Well, I think we should take a break.
Okay. All right.
I could take a Waz.
I could take a Waz. What was James's thing was that he would hold the buzzer at the desk so he could just push it with his whole.
Oh, he'd turn it upside.
Is that what he did? Was it upside down?
No, he did like he'd like hold his hands so he could just like push it against his other hand.
Oh, okay.
I think. I can't remember what the move was. I remember him being like, "This is my."
He had a move,
and I was like,
but it didn't save him, did it?
I was like, I don't think the moves matter as much as knowing the goddamn answer.
Yeah, that's really what did him well.
Because it'll lose you money.
Yeah.
If you're wrong.
Yeah, we were just before we came back, we were discussing just I forget her name, but the previous 2-day champion lost today, and she could have won the game, but if you miss a couple down the stretch,
it's like knowing when to bet and when to hold.
And I think that she may have missed a Final Jeopardy. No, she didn't miss a Final Jeopardy or a Daily Double, but the other guy got a really tough one. And after you miss a couple and they get a big Daily Double, you're like, yeah, get in your head.
You're fucked.
You get in your head. It's quicksand.
So
just like being a pitcher, man.
So you brought up how James, once he started kind of floundering, he'd really get in his head.
Yeah, he totally shuts down.
And once Ken Jennings started doing he started just aping like I'll go all in, like.
Once that became the way.
He's like, not only am I willing to be ballsy with the bets, but I actually know more of the answers than you do.
Yeah.
And
Jennings is the GOAT.
And James fucking. Yeah.
He cracked.
Yeah.
What was the other guy's name?
He crumpled. Edith. Stupid Edith.
Fuck out of here with that guy.
God love him.
God love him, but...
God love him. You hate to see it.
What are you supposed to do with Ken?
No, you don't.
So, I'm going to mention this for a second time because I think that you're right. I hope that Ken Jennings is the successor to the Jeopardy host throne.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't like to talk about this.
What if that was the secret prize to the GOAT?
Dude, if they had said that that's what it was...
Maybe. Cut all this out.
Cut all this out. All right. I mean, what else do you have to say? Because, I mean, I do wish that could have gone on for longer, but that was the ball to win them all. And it lived up.
Yeah.
Could have stood to see one more game. Also, here's what we should mention.
I would have liked it if it went on to build more tension cinematically, but it was also like, yeah, you know, everyone kind of knew this going in. Like, Ken was, and it still is, the best
Absolutely.
at that game.
And also, I forgot this, but when it happened, this was huge. James probably should have won that game, but missed one of the easiest Final Jeopardy questions I've ever seen.
Oh, what was it? That's right.
It was which Shakespeare character
has
the most speeches that is not a titular character?
Iago.
Obviously, Iago.
You and I knew that. I knew that, but like my mom didn't know that.
James should know. James's answer was Horatio, which I think is fucking
terrible.
Pitiful.
It seemed like
Pitiful
it seemed
answer.
Like, I was like, man, is James like notoriously bad at Shakespeare? Is that a thing that they hadn't uncovered and found his Achilles heel at that moment where he's like, I fucking hate Shakespeare, you know?
And
not
that
my shit.
in itself is Shakespearean.
Bum bum bum.
That was good.
And King Kenneth shall reign as rightly was destined.
Oh, for a Kenify.
Oh, for a Ken of Jen.
What?
Ing.
Oh. All right, we're off the rails on Jeopardy.
What else did we want to talk about?
Should we talk? Curb is so good.
That was not a great segue.
Now. Curb is great. Who cares? This is our show.
And if you don't like it, then you must hate America.
Yeah. Don't like hogs, clearly.
Curb Your Enthusiasm is back.
I might cut all that. That was a terrible segue.
No, I like it. I liked it. I think Curb Your Enthusiasm is the kind of show that lends itself to that kind of disgruntled, awkward behavior.
I have laughed harder at those first 2 episodes than I've laughed at a lot of things.
Well, we were talking
about a lot
of
things.
How that's the Curb. I think to frame it, you know, we know that this show's willing to just take years off. They're not on a schedule, and it reminds me of the story you told me about what Larry David said to the guys from It's Always Sunny,
right, yeah.
where he's like, "Don't cancel your show like Seinfeld did. Just take a break."
Yeah.
And I think he really does adhere to that philosophy.
I love that.
So this is the first time that this show's been back since the Me Too scandals and since the election of Donald Trump.
And it's also the first since Bob Einstein died.
That's right. Yeah, he's not
Such
in
a
it.
great character he was. They haven't addressed that yet.
No, and they might not. But they definitely addressed Trump and the Me Too movement immediately.
Yes, they do.
They were like, you know, because some shows will just pretend everything's hunky-dory, like we're not living in some sort of insane fucking hellscape of a time period. But not Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Not Curb. No.
They find ways to make both of those things hilarious for our main boys. Because the best joke is that they point out that Jeff Garlin does kind of look like Harvey Weinstein. He's a big fat Jewish guy.
Not him.
He's like, I've been getting it all the time.
Jeff Garlin has been my MVP of the first 2 episodes. I'll eat whatever the fuck I want.
Oh my god.
Of course.
He's such a great like partner to Larry. Because he kind of has to deal with Larry, but he also like gets him and is like, yeah. And like hypes
Larry
him
makes
up.
a great partner out of anyone. I mean, his scenes with JB Smoove are like...
Yeah.
Leon is one of the most incredible characters
Yes.
that I've ever seen.
Like, instead of having them, it's like the same with Jeff. And it's like the few people that understand where Larry's coming from, instead of just being off-put by his insane obsession with the pettiest minutia of interactions or expectations, or whether through his own idiocy or just circumstance. You know, sometimes it's like he's trying to get the Pigs in a Blanket, and the girl thinks that he's trying to harass her, and he reaches towards her and grabs her, but then other times Larry's just obstinately being like a fucking ass about something that he won't let go of. Like, he just won't let go of it.
Yeah.
He's gotta have...
Yeah. It's always about scratching the itch, I suppose.
Yeah, he's kind of
a good formula.
He's kind of like a hilarious sociopath or something.
I'm sure he'd be pleased to hear that. I don't know what to say about Curb. Curb rules.
Yeah.
We don't need to tell anyone that Curb is good.
Yeah. It's back.
Yeah.
And it's still fucking hilarious.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to say anything about that Avenue 5 show, but it's not,
Avenue 5?
Not as funny.
I've watched the first couple episodes. I'm curious. I looked it up. Like, the guy who created it is like Italian. It's
Iannucci. He's British.
Oh, British?
He made Veep and he made Death of Stalin. I wonder if all those people like signed up being like, oh, this is gonna be good, and didn't read it.
Yeah, I'm curious. Well, and it seems like it could be good. It just kind of hasn't found its feet yet. Like, it might have been the kind of thing where maybe
I think that's fair.
Like, in one of those shows where the first episode should be like a longer movie where they introduce the whole concept and scenario.
Sure, it's tight. It's tough with a half hour.
It's not at the point where you still kind of know where everyone's standing. The show is basically like a space cruise gone awry.
Yeah.
And kind of shitting on the idea of space cruises and that sort of thing, because it takes place in like 40 years, but it's like Star Trek vibes.
Yeah.
But they don't have the shit together, so it's a little bit like Veep or Silicon Valley or
it's clearly the guy who created Veep doing it. You know, it has a very similar.
It's not
photography.
The laughs to plot ratio aren't really enough to make it a great comedy in my from what I've seen so far. Like, I'm just not like ha 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 ha.
I'm just not like.
I'm not going. I'm not watching it going ha. You know, I'm watching it going. You know, so I get closer to the mic. I went. Huh.
Wow. This is like bizarro version of
weird choice.
We're making weird choices right now. Do you want to talk about choices? That's a good segue.
I never want to talk about choices. I just like to let the choices make themselves, man. I'm a Pisces.
Hell yeah. Should we get on the Pope?
Let's get on to the real matter at hand.
Yeah. How do we want to attack this?
Well, it's kind of rough that we've had to take such a long break because we've now watched the first three episodes of the young Pope.
The new Pope.
The new young Pope.
The hot new Pope.
The hot new young Pope. 2 of them there are.
Yeah.
Of whom there are 2. That sounds better.
How do we want to get in here? It's incredible.
Yeah.
Which seems insufficient.
It's we're such like huge fucking fans of the first season, and now watching the second season, I'm a huge fan of this storyteller that we're watching.
Yeah.
Because the first season was so carried by Lenny Belardo and Jude Law.
Right. And
we've watched 3 amazing episodes in the same universe with some of the same characters, but the attention is very absent.
Oh yeah, so the attention is very divvied. You follow. It's like a bunch of little one-act plays happening inside of these episodes.
And that's why we were talking about it's not the second season. It's a new show a little bit. It's like reading a sequel to a novel.
Absolutely.
Where you're like, oh, this is focusing on a different character in the same universe or whatever.
Yeah. It has the austerity of something like that. It really does feel immersive. Mm-hmm. The way that a novel can feel when you're,
But it's also following Voyello initially, kind of.
Oof.
Because we don't even meet our new Pope until the second episode.
So John Brownix.
The entire first episode is just Voyello dealing with.
We're just wheeling and dealing,
trying to figure out who the new Pope will be.
Well, trying to become.
And I think we should have a little discussion about Father Tomas.
We got to talk about Tomas. Well, but this is what we were texting about as we watched the third one last night. The characters in this show are so much more finely drawn and living and breathing and so vibrant and and unpredictable than any characters I've seen in anything, film or television. I mean, every one of his characters explodes inside of the thing. You know what I mean? There's something about the man of the cloth quality of all of them where sex isn't an issue until it's a huge issue because of their lifestyle, and we see that a lot in these first ones. And just the private nature that they all have makes all of their personalities like swell in such an interesting way. Like they all vibrate.
It's like a mafia facade kind of thing.
Yeah, totally.
Because there's a lot of scenes where they're just like, in this last one, when the two nuns go and ask the father for help with one of their ailing mothers, and he and he makes a phone call to another father talking about going out and like seeing a show and getting pizza and stuff.
The tickets he just offered
and
them.
He's like, I'll do my best, ladies, and they're all just like very like, and he goes up to Voyello and he goes, any other information? And he goes, no.
Oh, I know.
He's like, nah.
And you feel such fury because you're like, Voyello would not like that to be unattended.
Yeah,
because we know deep down that Voyello has a very tender heart.
But all of these guys have very different agendas. Ethical codes or whatever.
Totally.
So the first episode and their initial instinct is to give father. So we need to talk about there's a standoff between Voyello and basically Voyello without his mole, who's like the exact opposite of him. It's a very strange choice, but there's a lot of strange choices that you just ride
Orlando,
with.
Man.
And it's the same actor, and you're like, this is the same guy. There's like the two of the same guy, but everyone's voting against them, and they're the two potential new popes, and they can't break this tie, so they decide to make poor little Father Tomas, who's very meek, and they think they think he'll be subjective to them, or that's not the word, submissive to them. And he immediately creates an agenda of like giving away all of the church's wealth.
Yeah. Scenes of them weeping as they put their gold rings into containers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to get too into like the plot resuscitation, but the severity with which the issue that they're dealing with about finding a new pope, he just like skyrocketed the stakes with that. Like we're gonna commence a pope and kill a pope
immediately
in 65 minutes.
Immediately, and you're like, and still have not even brought in the actor we are expecting, because we all know John Malkovich is going to be the new pope, but we don't meet him until a good portion into the second episode when they go to his estate.
Yeah.
And he's mysteriously lounging in a windowsill like a cat dressed like Purple Rain.
Like Lady Mary.
With mascara on and just being like this weird
enigma.
He's got this idea of like idealized beauty and love as godliness. Mm-hmm. But merely conceptually, and how to embrace that concept.
Yeah.
But he's not like, really but he's like kind of unloved and unloving.
Yeah, he's like Byron as the Pope. Byron as the cardinal or
totally. He's this British poet. And they're like, how did you turn all these Anglicans into Catholics? And he's like, I talked to them about golf and Manchester United and the way women cross their legs.
Good accent work from Malkovich in this one.
Yeah, and we were talking about how it's funny that Malkovich is playing a Brit and Jude Law plays
the American. Yeah, I like that. I think that's intentional.
There's also a point in the latest one where she point blank looks at him and says, and this is like being John Malkovich vibes.
I know.
She goes, good. You remind me of my favorite actor, John Malkovich. And I was like,
and he says, I didn't see the resemblance.
Oh my god. What an insane choice for them to make. But it also is like, this is the one actor you can kind of get away with that, because like John Malkovich. He can be that representation of the ever-recursing thing of, like, it works. It makes sense.
I love him.
I love this show.
I do too. And we
he's fitting in. He's taking up the...
He really does fit in. He wears the show like a glove.
They're like,
it's a very tricky tone.
You need to be kind of mythical and larger than life, because that's what Jude Law was being. And he's doing it. like no other character.
Right. It requires that. It has the Shakespearean stakes of people that are just living on a kind of different stratosphere of, and there is this really foreboding, lingering thing that they've been cutting to a lot. This sort of
the ghost.
No, not the ghost, obviously, but these sort of like religious wars that they're dealing with.
Oh, and how there's like a faction that is still aligned to Pius in his deathbed, and
sure that
there's all the fractures are happening all over.
Right. Well, I mean, in this last episode, there was that really dark sequence of the movie theater where all the nuns and priests had been shot by a 10-year-old armed with an AK-47. Like, that stuff is going to come to roost in this. Yeah. You know, that's going to be...
There's a lot of political unrest.
There's a lot of... I think there's a lot of dark stuff down the line. The show... And
there's a lot of characters they're introducing that are like these weird gangster priests plotting and working with these different guys who look like they're politicians or businessmen or have some different agendas and expectations. And the way that they're attached to your two primary women in the show, the press secretary and Esther. Right. You know, both of those things are direct lines to your living pope and your life support pope. Yet to be resurrected pope.
Yeah, well, God, you know, and I was thinking about, just if we're talking brief predictions, even if Lenny dies, this is the kind of show where they have not written out the possibility that he is actually resurrected from death.
Sure.
Like,
absolutely.
Nothing that they do with Lenny is going to surprise me.
Well, so we've been sending each other funny texts about this stuff. And you joked about there being Lenny as like a ghost or spirit that influences other people. And with it, literally, immediately, like in the second episode, he's doing that. When Like when they're in John Brannick's estate, he's ghosting on everybody.
Yeah, you see it in the scene with the drunk priest. Lenny coming to kind of like cradle him as he's in bed. Yeah. But there is something really touching about the way that Lenny weighs on their hearts. The picture that it paints of Lenny's impact on all these people in the world after his turn at the end of that first season with his I forgot that.
Well, and the fact that
his letters get published in the New Yorker. He's clearly, it was very cool.
He's gonna move. He's still part of this story, like intrinsically.
Yeah, he is part of the fabric.
They cut to him in the last episode, and you see like a tear rolling down his cheek, and you're like, okay, like he's definitely. Don't forget about him. You know, he's not done yet.
No, it looks like in this next episode.
What if he's like fucking all fucked up and weird and different and.
Oh my god!
Like he's got like serious brain damage and shit like that.
Jesus, I mean.
Like, who the fuck knows?
The door is wide open because I mean I mentioned earlier that the characters are unpredictable.
That's bad.
The direction of the narrative is very unpredictable. Like, I mean, we obviously know that Malkovich was going to take the papacy, but the way that we get there and the unpacking of all of the characters that inform these decisions is unlike anything I've ever seen. The way that the tone is shifting, especially, like it can be so austere and kind of brimstone just inherently because of the religious nature of it, but it can be it can be like madcap funny sometimes. Though.
Yeah, it's all over the map.
Very quickly.
It's all over the map. I mean, this season seems to have a clear new theme song that represents John Brannick's.
I love the new theme. I love the new theme.
And it's instead of Jude Law walking past his predecessors and these biblical stories just kind of owning the screen. But you know that to like an older song. Now it's like a newer song, and these nuns just going wild under some cool lighting.
But you know that the title sequence in the first season that we think of with the All Along the Watchtower and him walking on those things, that didn't start until like the third or fourth episode.
Yeah, so who knows what's gonna happen now that John Brannick is the Pope? Like we might see the next episode open with fucking John Malkovich doing his own Popely Pope. Popely Pope theme song.
I do think that at some point that All Along the Watchtower music is gonna hit.
Yeah, we're
gonna scream
when Jude Law slowly opens his eyes.
I think they'll awaken him to the.
I think you're wrong. I respectfully disagree. I think that they will instead do this. And I just forced you to do some editing work. Sorry, man.
Those are pretty easy. That's the easy part.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, whatever song they play.
Yeah, this show's fucking great. Like, we were talking about how this guy's got, like, because the visualization is so good. We were talking about, like, Kubrick.
Yeah, it has absolutely.
But the storytelling is on a level that Kubrick never had. Because
the writing is a totally different.
And it's all geared toward one central, thought out thing. There's weird moments, like this episode where you're like, what's the deal with this dude that fucking Esther is fucking and this little side story, but it's also like clearly going somewhere, and I'm curious.
Yeah, nothing happens for no reason,
nothing makes me like not want to see where it's going next.
Absolutely,
I'm constantly intrigued by every character. I'm wondering where the fuck Diane Keaton is a little bit, but I'm also not expecting to maybe see her at all.
Maybe I wouldn't be surprised if we don't, but.
Yeah, maybe she'll call.
You think that she would be around Lenny's body?
She'll be on the phone call when Jude Law's like, I'm away. I'm a monster. And she's like, Lenny, I am in the United States. I'm not going to make it to the season, but I'm here for you, Lenny. I'm here for you, baby. Oh, I love you, Lenny. And he's like, rah, and we hear.
You think this is gonna happen?
And then we hear.
Just two little country kids outside misbehaving.
You can put whatever you want.
I'm gonna play the other one, the Andrew Bird one, the happy guitar one.
Play whatever you want. It's a fun game to like. Just be fans of all of the soundtracks.
Sure.
There's some weird shit in this, and there's songs where you're like, this is. I wonder what kind of relationship this is affecting me, because this is like strange foreign Italian.
Oh, the Italian punk song they played was like
pop music and stuff.
Yeah, the credit sequence in this last episode of Esther and that weird guy dancing to that's
cute
song is
the one before that was that weird gangster guy just watching his like hot girlfriend dance in a shitty little fast food joint.
Like a Euro joint or something.
Yeah.
The imagery in the show is just amazing. Chef's kiss all
that's
around.
The thing with.
Do they just build a fucking Vatican model?
I don't know. We have not done our research in the production because I think it might. We're just really we're really in the boat right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know I don't want to know how deep that water goes, man.
Yeah, no kidding.
I just want to get out of this boat alive. I want to get down this river
and see God
and be baptized in His name.
Season 1 has a clear reference to Boulder being the Garden of Eden. Remember that?
That's right. At least in Lenny's mind.
In Lenny's mind.
I forgot about that. That's because everything comes back to us, man. We're the center of the universe.
Yeah, that's what everybody thinks. That's what everyone in Colorado does think sometimes.
They would. Because
would.
they're near our proximity, and they're just merely satellites.
To our hogs.
Of our intense.
To our papal hogs.
Of the gravity of our the intense gravitational pull of our fat fucking hogs.
Are we completely off the rails, you think?
No, we open with hogs, and I think anyone listening to this is going to be like, they brought it back to the hogs.
Good for them.
Applauding the hog. I know this episode is going to be one of those ones where people are like, hey, they're having fun tonight.
That's what they say. Of course.
And we've got plenty to talk about. We've more to talk about that we are going to have to put off because...
Yeah.
We don't want to...
I mean,
we don't want to talk much longer,
We can riff on whatever until it dies, I guess.
Whoa.
We actually were
We've never done a riff to die game.
What do we got? Just like hot buttons, quick ones.
Let me think. A hunter shoots a puma, a cougar, and a mountain lion with one bullet.
Holy
How
shit.
is this possible?
I don't know.
Riddle me this, motherfucker. They're all the same goddamn animal. Are you even listening? You live in Colorado. You don't know that a puma, a cougar, and a mountain lion are the same animal? You went to UCCS. Do you know what our mascot was?
You know what it used to be?
I didn't say it was a giraffe. I said it was a mountain lion?
Mountain lion.
A cougar?
I always used to joke that we were the Cougars.
I think Cougars...
I used to joke about that all the time, and every once in a while someone would be like, we're the mountain lions, and I'm like, we're the mountain lions.
Mountain lions. Cougars are definitely my mascot in college.
Fucking nerd. We were the Wildcats in high school, and we were the Cougars in middle school.
We're the Manatee Mustangs.
Yeah, that's better.
Isn't... I don't know. I don't care.
I don't care either, but it's because I've always had lame...
I know you and I both wish the UCCS was still the giraffe.
Oh my god, dude!
But clearly they were...
It would be so charming!
Clearly they were a bunch of, like, burnouts living in a military town. Unlike today.
Yeah, it's a bunch of, like, high school baseball burnouts who joined the military branded UCCS. It's so boring. If they were still the drafts, have you seen that logo? It's so fucking funny.
It's adorable. It kind of looks like Toys R Us. Remember that, kids? I don't know if you do, but you won't anymore.
At least you got TikTok.
Yeah, that was the trade-off. You know what? I'd take it. I'd take TikTok for Toys R Us.
I guess so. I really liked my wrestling guys.
I liked my guys. I liked all my guys. I'm not saying I didn't like my guys. It's just I can't find any new Ninja Turtles that were in the style that I like where I really can.
What else we got?
I don't know. Life's been busy, you know. Life's been crazy.
Oh, I saw Bobby Cannavale.
Yeah, let's talk about your. You need to tell us a little bit about your adventure.
The New York adventure.
Yeah, I'll interview you.
Okay, great.
Tell me about your New York adventure. Start at the beginning. It's a very good place to start.
First night, because we had to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to get on our 6 a.m. flight. We got there. All right, here we go. Okay, here we go. I got a shout out to New Yorkers because I know that this pissed off a couple of them that I talked
Hey,
to.
listeners in New York,
Listen
up.
When you land at JFK, you have to pay fucking $8 to get out of the airport.
That's the worst.
And you have to like buy a different kind of fucking Metro card to do it. And apparently, even if you are a resident and already have one of those things, you can't use that one to swipe. It's bullshit. The $8 fee to get the fuck out of JFK.
Oh, thank God.
That's bullshit. The first night I was there, we saw Medea at the Brooklyn Academy of Music with Bobby Cannavale.
Yep.
Shout out. And his wife, Rose Byrne. In the titular role of Anna, which is that Medea. Her name is Anna in the production. It was different.
It's the same character, but they changed her name.
I don't know.
So why did they even keep the name Medea? So you know that's Medea?
I guess so. I mean, it's a riff. It's a riff on Medea.
What was first? Was it Medea? Nah, they never do that anyway. I was gonna say was Bobby Cannavale's name under Medea, but no, it wouldn't be. It'd be above. It's Bobby Cannavale. You know.
Are we talking about on the poster? The poster's funny.
Billing wise.
Billing wise, yeah. They were billed together because they're a married couple.
Together, who came first?
I don't know. Probably in that case, I would imagine Rose Byrne would because her name's first.
And she plays
alphabetically.
Obviously, she plays Anna.
Yeah, I don't want to get into the whole nuances of the adaptation of.
Where does it take place?
On a white stage. At their house.
Are there robots?
There's no robots.
What are they wearing?
There is gadgets. There's
gadgets?
There is.
Wait, there are gadgets?
Yeah, there's gadgets.
What kind of gadgets?
At one point their kids are making a documentary, so they're filming around the house, and you see this projected on a screen.
That's being done.
That's how they open it too, but there's no camera explained there.
Network did that. Lots of colleges are working on things like that.
Yeah, we've seen it.
We've talked about it.
Yeah, and we've seen it.
Yeah, and we're starting to see
the best technical thing that happened in that show is there's this scene where.
Oh, you told me about this.
Where it's raining this ash.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the end of the Act 2 sequence sort of thing.
The ash scene.
It was fucking cool. I wish it had been more. They should have done like twice as much of it. Because later Medea burns the house down, her and the kids alive.
Was it burning ash? Like, would it burn out as it fell?
No,
that
would like if it was like going orange to black.
Incredible amount of danger involved for the entire theater.
That'd be sick.
Because I don't believe in safe spaces. I believe in dangerous spaces.
You know, the balcony of Brooklyn Academy of Music feels like sort of a dangerous place. It is some steep shit.
Did you have your glasses?
I did, thank God.
Yeah,
I was kind of falling asleep.
God, if I found out that you tripped and fell off a balcony in the Brooklyn Academy of Music on your trip to New York, I'd be like, that's exactly how we'd want it.
Falling on a rich person.
Forgetting his glasses. Killing the executive producer of Hamilton. The white one. The old white guy, I mean.
Yeah. Thanks, dude.
Yeah. Not one of the ladies or anything.
What else? I ate a lot of pizza. Shout out to... What were the good ones?
Favorite pizza? Louis? Did you go to Louis?
The two best ones we went to, I think one of them is called Tony's in Crown Heights. And then
Tony's
there's
is good.
an incredible place called Polito's in Astoria.
Polito's in Astoria.
That was good shit.
Huh.
That had the best red sauce on the
Did
slice.
you go to Louis?
I did not go to Louis.
Did you go to Sal's?
No, I didn't go to Sal's. I think
Did you go to Polly's?
I think I had 7 different slices. I think I went to a place that was called Not Ray's.
Oh.
In the West Village. It was really good.
Did you go to Ray's?
I did not go to Ray's, but I walked by Ray's.
Huh. Did you go to Joey's?
I didn't go to Joey's because I went to Joey. Okay, here's one. I went to Joey's last time I was in New York. Everyone said that was the best place. It's like right by the IFC Center.
Yeah, sure. Joey's.
I didn't think it was that good.
Joey's wasn't that good?
The other ones were better.
Nah.
Polito's is better.
Polito's is better.
Polito's is better.
Did you go to Totino's?
Yeah, I got them from the Rite Aid and I made them in the hotel.
you got some Totino's.
And you know what? The Totinos in New York are better.
The Totinos in New York are better. They're flat.
I wanted to.
You have to fold them in half.
I told you the thing that I think is so adorable about the pizza places in New York is that when you get a slice, they ask you if it's to stay instead of for here, like they do in other
and they were like, "Please sit on my hog while you wait for your pizza."
It just seems a lot more personal and like more precious to say to stay.
Would you like a back massage?
I only got 2 back massages in New York. And I gave both of them to myself.
Did you go to Dino's? He gives great back massages.
He gives great hog massages.
Dino's has a great hog. He'll massage your hog. It's great. You'll love it. And then I'll cook you up a fresh slice of margarita. Margarita. Pais.
I'm gonna put bleeps through all of that. We're doing really great.
I like listening to this. I mean,
I'm listening. I am listening to myself.
Did you go to Fredo's?
Mm-hmm.
I hear. I hear. Even his mother won't go there. He's a real disappointment.
Yeah.
Because he's a vampire. All right, I'm done with the bit.
Okay.
We gotta wrap it up. What else do we want to talk about?
I don't know. We were playing rap.
Oh, that's right. We're running out.
Riff Till We Die.
Fuck. Well, then we'll have to change. Okay, then did you go to
I went to the Henson thing. Was cool.
Oh yeah.
Jim Henson exhibit.
Yeah. Is there an Italian Muppet?
That's a great question.
Is there an overtly Italian Muppet? Ralph.
He was one of. So I learned that Rolf is one of like the older.
He's her suit. That's why.
They're all her suits.
Well,
so Fozzie.
He plays the piano like Chico Marx.
He plays the piano like Chico Marx.
It's Italian as fuck.
Ralph was one of the oldest. Like
he's one of the original.
Like the originals.
Two actor puppets, right?
And he was one of the first ones that they sold like as a doll. And they had one of those there. That was pretty cool. I sent you the poems that Frank Oz read to Jim Henson. Those are beautiful.
Yeah, to be turned into songs and stuff.
Yeah.
My favorite thing you sent me was the drawings of
Oh, Waldorf and Slater.
Our guys.
Oh yeah, when they have like long legs.
Yeah, it's like the concept art for them, and they're like these like actual man bodies with their goofy fucking heads on top.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah, now I will never picture them without the image of what their legs might look like underneath.
There was a full Skeksis from the Dark Crystal in there. It wasn't as big as I thought it was gonna be.
How big was it?
Jesus, not tall. Maybe 3.5 feet to maybe 4.5 feet.
Oh, I guess it's because they didn't have to get the feet of the actors. They just they just
shot
for wides or whatever.
Yeah,
They fill that in.
so that must have been there wasn't as much stuff about the Dark Crystal.
It's weird thinking about how specific those shots would have had to be, where they're like, we don't need whatever's out of frame. We don't actually need to fucking make. Right
well, but
now,
I think
or we
but
don't
they
need
build
on-
those full set. I mean, those seem
There
like
would be there'd be those shots where you'd see their whole bodies, but that might have been those guys all crouching around and scooting around on their ankles. or
totally.
whatever.
Yeah, if I could like visit any set back in time, it would be some of those old Henson things like that.
I should have grabbed it when I was at my mom's house earlier. I found the old book, the Dark Crystal kind of companion book.
Oh yeah,
that
that's
they
right.
based a lot of that new series on.
Right, and there was a bunch of puppets from that one there, and those Skeksis puppets are way bigger.
Yeah,
they're like clearly people
where
are
actors are
people
walking
are
around
inside
a lot.
of them. Yeah.
Well, and they're probably a lot
No, the Gelfing.
they're
puppets
probably a lot
are-
easier to deal with because like those are the kind of costumes where they'd have like Jim Henson's whole thing was the technology to watch yourself performing. So when they were in those big suits, they'd have a tiny little monitor that would connect to the camera that was aimed at them, so they'd know.
Oh sure.
Like if I could take a step to the left,
Sure.
I'm gonna move a step.
Sure.
Like it's like crazy, upstage, downstage kind of.
Right. Oh,
logic.
speaking of the best of things that people wore, another exhibit I saw while I was there was the Stanley Kubrick 2001 exhibit.
Oh, yeah, you told me about
which
that.
was kind of like I'm not an over the moon Kubrick guy, so I was like,
That's a cool movie though.
it is a cool movie. But the coolest thing in there was they had one of like the monkey suits for the guys
Oh yeah.
in there, and it was kind of a surreal thing to look at.
Did they have a thing where you'd like do acid and they'd put you in front of a weird projector and just blast you with like colored images?
No, I was kind of hoping
until
that that's
you
what it
became
was
a
going to
space
be.
baby?
I thought that some of it was going to be a little more.
Like making out under the planetarium kind of vibe.
Yeah, exactly. And it was instead like a lot of like NASA looking documents and stuff.
Yeah. Where they were like, Kubrick, you better say that this is fictional because by God, if we find out that you're telling everyone that we asked you to film the moon landing, you son of a bitch, we'll tell everyone you're a communist.
And he just gave
And
him
we'll
some
have
crazy eyes.
We'll have you shot in the Yukon, you piece of shit. Signed, Droidea.
And you're like, whoa, what? Eisenhower?
And Jim Henson. What? Jim Henson, secret op for the CIA. It all makes sense now.
Definitely not. I was really in the Henson thing. I was so stoked they were playing that short film of his that you and I watched, that Time Out one. That's just like about how obsessed with sex he is, basically.
Oh, that's fucking hilarious.
And he does the Kermit voice and he goes, "Help!" They were playing that.
we
and
should
I was,
watch that.
Oh,
on
it's so
Criterion.
good.
If anyone has Criterion, look that puppy up.
I actually don't know if it's on. It was on Filmstruck before
Oh, that's right.
Filmstruck basically became Criterion.
It's like the Vine of or Turner
Of 1964.
Yeah, yeah. If Turner Classic Movies is to Filmstruck as America's Funniest Home Videos is to Vine,
What's the question?
the transition from cable to the internet,
Sure.
and then where we've become today,
Yeah.
where you're kind of back to your criterion.
Shout out to Criterion.
What does the word criterion mean? Like, it's some exclusive bullshit. The best.
Isn't like
Or
Criterion?
the
I don't know.
you
Actually,
have to
I have
pass
no
some
idea.
criteria.
Yeah, it's like a hiring thing, or is that not criteria?
It's,
the criterion would
you
be
have
to possess all those things. I
to
no
have
idea.
all the expected skills and qualities to join the exclusive brand of the criteria.
They did send out dog tag badges to everyone who signed up.
Dog
right away.
tags?
Yeah, I have it. It's the coolest. I love it.
It seems like the kind of thing that they would be like, we're having our yearly Criterion masquerade orgy in the mansion in the woods.
There's just a bunch of dorks pretending that they're in Eyes Wide Shut.
And we'll vote on the best movies of.
I watched the first 90 minutes.
48.
I watched the first 90 minutes of Eyes Wide Shut the other day. I'd never seen that movie before.
Really?
No.
That's a weird movie.
It is weird. I do love that Shostakovich song they play in it, though.
It was Kubrick's official last movie.
Mm-hmm.
Cause
That's a weird flick.
it's weird, and it's clear, and it's funny now because you're like that marriage didn't last much longer after that.
No, it's
clearly like part of the deterioration.
Yeah,
of that.
the scenes where Kidman's. I mean, I've only seen the first 90 minutes. I don't know what happened.
Oh, you didn't finish it?
No, I haven't finished it yet. It's like fucking 3 hours and 15 minutes or something. It's long as fuck.
That's the same thing.
But the scene where she's yelling at him in the bedroom is like, you seem like you don't like him.
Yes. You seem like this man is trying to ask. He's asked you many times to be the princess of the Church of Scientology.
And you are like, nah.
And you're like, no, go fuck with Katie Holmes and ruin her life for a few years, you fucking weirdo. You weird bastard. Did you ever see the movie AI? That was the other
Tom
one.
Cruise movie?
No, the Haley Joel Osment movie.
Oh, yeah. Who's the older guy in the movie, though?
Jude Law.
It is Jude Law.
And that was the actual movie that Kubrick was working on when he died.
Early
And then
Jude Law.
Kubrick was the one directing it, and then he died.
Right.
And Spielberg finished it. That movie's pretty good. That movie I remember liking a lot more than Eyes Wide Shut.
I remember I was like in 5th grade when I saw that movie. You know what's on Netflix right now is The Talented Mr. Ripley with super young
Jesus,
Jude Law.
I remember that being a big deal when I was
Yeah, me too.
younger. Where we were like, this is just brilliant acting. This is one of the most brilliant acting I've ever seen.
I think Hoffman's in that movie too, isn't he?
Jude Law's in it too. Yeah, they're all in that. Yeah, I should probably watch that.
We should
again.
rewatch that. I don't know. I actually don't know if I've ever seen it. Aren't there a couple of Mr. Ripley movies?
Probably. I don't know. Ripley's a thing. Ripley's a name.
It is.
There are Ripleys.
Sure.
Look at Alien.
That's a name.
No, that's her name, and that's Sigourney Weaver's character.
I've never seen any of those movies.
Ripley. Really? I've seen the first one.
You just tell me that I have seen the first one, or you just tell me
No,
that
I've seen the
that you've seen the first one.
I can read your mind. I know you've seen the first one. You lying piece of shit.
Try to act like you haven't seen Alien.
Trying to act like you've never seen Alien. You didn't know her name was Ripley?
Mm-mm.
Goddamn liar. Maybe we should start a podcast where we watch old movies. If anyone has an opinion on that, why don't you write us?
Why don't you fuck off?
Why don't you go fuck yourself? But once we get our Snapchat Premium up and running for Slim and Lefty in the morning.
Oh shit! I keep meaning to make our OnlyFans account, and I still haven't.
You
done
did
it.
promise that would be a thing, but that's why I don't make promises on this show, ladies and gentlemen, because I promise not to make promises, and that's why I deserve to be your leader. Welcome to America, 2020. Here, that's all you, buddy.
Lei non parla mai, lei non dice mai niente. Ha bisogno d'affetto e pensa che il mondo non sia solo questo.